Great skills again by him. Oh, marvellous goal by Lewis.
Welcome to the Rangers Journey.
Hello and welcome to the Rangers Journal. This is really a kind of, not breaking news pod, Scotty, but just a kind of call to action or something. You wanted to come in and talk about breaking news that's just kind of come out the last hour or so that talks with Kevin Muscat could be on the point of breaking down. I'm going to come to you. Obviously, Ryan's joining us as well. I'll just bring him to the screen. Oh, there he goes. Welcome, Ryan. But I'm going to come to you first, Scotty, because I say you're the one that kind of called this meeting.
Aye, well, Keith Jackson at the Daily Records reported now. Keith Jackson's been right on a good few things recently, so I think it's only fair that we take this for what it is. In that he's wrote in his article that that basically the deal was agreed in principle with Kavanagh and Thelwell, and then as soon as Kevin Muscat went to have a meeting with Greta Steinstein, Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell, the deal is now on the brink of collapse, basically, is what he's basically reported now. I've kind of wanted to come on. We've done a kind of pod on Patrick Stewart's position a wee while back, and so I've got some notes here kind of jotted down, Billy, from that pod, and I've got some interesting stuff for his timeline here, right? So December 2024, he's announced the CEO. Then early 2025, he initiates a root and branch review of the club's football operations. That was the kind of review before the 49ers came in, if you want to call it that. It was all kind of tied in with everything. And then he publicly backed Clement, despite the pressure to bag him. I think that was after the Queen's Park game, back Clement. And then St Mirren came and turned us over at Ibrox, beat us 2-0, I think. Clement gets sacked. Then in April this year, he leads his first fans forum under his leadership, showing an increased emphasis on transparency and supporter engagement. Right now, I want to say on that, where is he? Right, May and June this year as well. The consortium comes in, takes over. It's a brand new beginning. Blah blah blah. He appoints Kevin Thelwell as part of an overhaul of the football operations, and you need to tie that in with the kind of review that was done, you would imagine. And then he appoints, he's part of the team that appoints Russell Martin. Then this month, he's shortened the board commit to continuing annual general meetings, providing the fan advisory boards on finances, blah, blah, blah. Now, he's done all that. That's fine, but now we're in a position where supposedly Kevin Muscat deals about to fall through after he's backed Russell Martin and publicly hired him, etc., etc. Then, that's before you even start when Kevin Thelwell comes in April 2025. Sporting director at Everton comes in to assume overall responsibility for all areas of the football operation, including men's, women's, and academy. In late May, the club's media report that Thelwell is ready to step into his role, and his first major task will be the appointment of the men's first team coach. He then appoints Russell Martin. In June, he sacks Copman and brings in Dan Purdy as technical director, bringing in his own men. That's fine. It begins kind of restructuring recruitment, analysing men's, women academy programmes now. The women's team was more or less asset stripped to me. They lost a lot of players. Now, don't know much about women's football. We've only really started covering it this year, so it'd been interesting to get Jack's take on that. I know we're doing fairly well on the pitch with the women's team, but we lost quite a lot of decent players. And now we're on the brink of, we've got another manager that's been sacked. And now we're on the brink of losing a manager that the deal was agreed in principle. So what are these two doing? Where are these two doing? The time's got to come where these two need to go. It needs to be changed. The final straw for me is appointing your son, getting your son a job. I don't know what you think, guy. That's what I wanted to get off my.
I'll give you my 2 cents on a couple of things. Certainly, we were kind of sold that Stuart was the new owner's actual man, and he was going to survive, obviously, the changeover. That was definitely the feeling I got back then, that he was brought in by these interested parties to kind of oversee things, look over everything, how it was run. So I put him on the Americans as well, if that makes sense, even though he was there before the takeover. Ryan, no, I'll come to you first on what Scotty's been saying. For me, there's not one positive that's happened since the changeovers, the takeovers happened.
No, there's been not. It's just one calamity after a calamity. We're a laughing stock. Truth be told, we're nowhere near. We're not getting football right on the pitch, and we're not getting football right in the boardroom, and it's just a recipe for disaster. And at some point, somebody can have to pick. And Russell Martin's already lost his job, right? Probably should never have got the job in the first place. But one of the things that people did say when he lost his job was that the same people were going to be in charge of recruiting the next guy. That was the kind of main concern about it all. Gerrard was the front runner. I don't think Gerrard comes across from Bahrain to come and sit down and have the conversation about it if he wasn't serious about taking the job. So something's happened there. Something's went wrong. Danny Rowe was pulled out. Danny Rowe was liked by the board. Impressed, he did a good interview. He's walked away from it as well, for whatever reason, we don't know. And now we're basically on the verge of losing possibly Kevin Muscat for things that are going. So what has happened? What are these top-level professional coaches not happy with that we're not privy to? Because all of these guys are available, well, maybe with the exception of Muscat because we're taking him off a club there, but he will have aspirations to come in marriage in Europe and put himself in the shop window. He probably want to go to the Premier League, let's be honest, that's where most guys do want to go. And doing well in Scotland, as we've seen before, will put you in the shop window for it. Steven Gerrard is out of work, and Danny Rowe is also out of work. So what has put these guys off that much that they don't want to take up employment with their football club? Something is seriously wrong. There is a poison. And I've been saying this not just in the last few months since these guys came in. I've been saying this for years. There is something seriously wrong at Ibrox. There is a cancer in the building, and we need to do whatever we can to cut it out. There's things going wrong. I've got kind of a borderline funny story to tell you that actually came to me. I got told about in the Loudon yesterday. Came out of a staff meeting last week, but I'll let Dino come in and have his say first of all. But this is almost like how bad things are. And it's actually borderline fun. If you can't laugh at yourself, who can laugh at you, sort of thing. This is borderline ridiculous. What I've got to tell you in a few minutes.
Do you know, after seeing the post-match last night, I think you're probably not going to come on and defend Thelwell or Stuart, are you?
No, and I'm not here to defend anything that's going on because it's an utter shambolic running of our club. Now, Kavanagh and Marathi have both came in as businessmen to make money, because that's essentially what they're here to do, is make us better and to earn money from their business. Now, they're very successful businessmen. They've got an incredible portfolio. So they're not just fresh out of business management school. And for me to think of it in their perspective, that if they can't see that as the current state of affairs as they aren't going to be making them any money, then that is even more flabbergasting, if you ask me. Surely they must be able to see they're getting no return on their investment, and they need to take decisive action. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. As Scotty and Ryan obviously just said that, Gerrard and things like that, it's a catalyst of just horrific and absolutely deplorable decisions that have been made. Now, Kavanagh and Marathi, although they didn't come in, I do believe they did have some say in what was going on behind the scenes, and obviously because they're going to be coming into the setup as what it is. But there's nothing there to say that, that they can they can put the pros against the cons and weigh up and give a good argument to keeping these guys in their jobs. There is nothing, absolutely nothing. Now, how can you be running an institution that is Glasgow Rangers Football Club and think that this is what the club is built on and this is how the club should be run? As Walter Smith said, us fans, it's not just supporting club, it's a way of life for a lot of us. And that way of life it's embarrassing, as Ryan said, utterly embarrassing.
Sorry, do you know? Yeah, you're quite right. I was just enjoying listening to you saying that. So, yeah, sorry, Scotty. Looking at this from maybe Parag Marat's position, these are guys that don't deal with day-to-day decisions on their normal business structure. So I imagine they're treating the club like that as well. They put people they trust in charge, and they kind of look at things over and above from the top. But even just looking at these last 2 weeks alone, I mean, we're led to believe on the Friday night that Gerrard is literally about to sign on the dotted line, and then what happens? He meets with them two again, Thirlwell and Stewart. I understand Rowe walking away. He realised he wasn't the main guy that they wanted, so for his own, self-worth, of course, you're going to walk away for that. And now we're left with Kevin Muscat, literally again on Friday, watching a game, expecting them to be announced after their, the team he manages game finishes. And then yesterday morning, I'm like, okay, well, surely there'll be something today if it was that close yesterday. And then this morning, I'm checking my phone again, and nothing. And I started to worry myself this morning. Like, I think something's went wrong. And then we get this Keith Jackson report this afternoon. So, I mean, even looking back at these 2 weeks, Parag Marat and Kavanagh must see the reason why this club hasn't been run very well at the moment.
100%. It doesn't take a blind man could see that the club isn't being run well at the moment, and it's ultimately their investment. It's what they've come in and and invested in is Rangers as a brand. They want to make their money off is to an extent, and I think they've went about it wrong by letting Stuart hire Thirlwell, because what they would seem to want to do is put a kind of a Premier League structure in place at Rangers. And that won't work. You need a Rangers structure in place at Rangers. If you ask me. Davy Weir got it spot on when he was on Sky Sports at the Falkirk game, and he's saying, like, Rangers aren't a trading model football club, but what you can do is if you're winning games of football in the park and you're putting trophies in, then the trading model will just automatically happen. You don't try to put it in place, you try to win, and then everything falls into place after it.
Ryan, I also want to hear your story, if that's okay. But kind of talking on this, the two guys. Basically, last week, as I was saying, I think maybe you said in the pod, they flew down there to speak to Gerrard. Gerrard obviously was interested, fully expected to sign and let the two underlings kind of deal with it, and then that falls apart. They must know the reason why. What bothers me is, why did they then send them in to speak to Muscat after they'd basically agreed everything in principle? Why would you send these two clowns back into it?
They're the line managers. They're the guys that they're going to be dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So it's kind of probably out of respect from Kevin and Marat that they're just saying, right, we believe we've got this deal as far done as we possibly can. We're now handing it over to you guys as effectively day-to-day guys, that are paid in the building every single day. So here's the guy that we'd like you to appoint. I don't know, dotted T's. Dot the I, cross the T's. I can't speak today, I'm not angry. But they're just probably just not very likeable characters. I'll go on to my story and tell you what happened. So this is came from a friend of mine who's well connected, who's got a lot of friends in and around the club. And according to him, there was a staff meeting held during the week that Thirlwell didn't show up for. He never came. And Patrick Stewart held the meeting. And it was all about kind of what's going on and stuff like that. Maybe one of these kind of quarterly staff meetings that you do see in kind of large places. And one of the things at the end of it was like, does anyone get anything? I'm reading, does anyone get anything to say? And a wee guy puts his hand up, boss, listen, is there any possibility we could get the boiler fixed in the academy part of the training centre, because it's absolutely freezing? We've actually not had any heating for over a year in the academy side of things. Is there any possibility we could get the boiler fixed? It's coming into winter. Aye, no problem at all. Yep, listen, get in touch with your maintenance guy. Your maintenance guy will get that fixed out for you, no problem at all. Thanks for bringing that to attention. And then, boss, aye, what is it now? The maintenance guy left in June. We've not replaced him. There is no maintenance guy to report it to. All right. Right, that's a problem. Okay, we'll sort that out. So it just shows you how out of touch Patrick Stewart is with the day-to-day running the football club. He should know that there's not a maintenance guy to report faults to. There's no facilities manager, whatever you want to call it that. But that's a story that was told to me yesterday in the Loudon. How true it is, I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me, being honest. And that's the kind of stuff that's borderline ridiculous, that you basically get Tweedledum and Tweedledee running the football club. They're getting abused. You see there's now people actually approaching the director's box in the main stand and they're actually having to be removed from it, and that's where you know things are going bad. There's banners getting unfurled yesterday from a well-known supporters group, basically saying, "You pack your bags, or we're going to pack them for you." If that's not a threat against you, what is? So things need to change, and if these are the guys that are causing the problem, we know that Stuart's not well liked. Within the supporters group, you can see with the banners that are still getting held up. They've put the Russell Martin one away now, but the Patrick Stewart one's still getting held up at the home games. So something needs to be done.
Mm-hmm. Dean, if this does fall apart, as I'm just reading in the comments from Scotty there, that there's now a few other sources reporting that the talks have possibly broken down. What does that say about Rangers as a destination for a manager if we have to go out and look for someone else 3 weeks into this, something that should have taken a couple of days?
Well, put it this way, it's going to make the pool of possible candidates somewhat diminished even more. People won't want to touch it with a 100-foot barge pole currently. And if you actually think about it, we don't even know the ins and outs as to why Dyche said no. That was another manager who distanced himself. I believe he didn't even get interviewed or whatever. But so that's another manager. I mean, and Dyche was probably one that a lot of us would have said, what, he can come in and do a job for us right now, and we can have him for 2-3 years and, steady the ship for us and, progress us. So if that's going to be Gerrard, Muscat, Roll, Dyche, McInnes has distanced himself from the job. Out of those 5, I would say 4 were a lot of the fans' first picks. So if that is the case, as I said previously, the owners need to take control of this and eradicate the issues as to why these managers are turning us down. And somebody made a very good point that we have it's not good to actually sack these people when we don't have replacements for them. Well, there's a very well respected former Rangers captain that's out of a job who could come in and do the director of football role and probably give him a couple of extra jobs to cover the CEO until we get a CEO in place, and that man's Davy Weir. And that's the kind of thing you want to see the owners doing, seeing the mess that is at Ibrox and finding the best possible way to actually fix it. But not just that, but get the fans back on side and get credit in the bank with the fans, and getting somebody in like Davy Weir who you wouldn't even need to ask him twice if he wanted to come in to Rangers. The man would do it in a heartbeat. And I'm seeing him speak so passionately, on Sky and stuff. He bleeds blue like the rest of us. And there's probably no better figurehead that you could think to come in. But the positions that Thelwell and Stewart are in are absolutely no uncertain terms untenable. And Thelwell actually needs to be resigning because, like we've all said, that he did say that if Martin goes, he goes. Yet he's still walking at the Ibrox on a daily basis. So, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Oh, just one thing on that, Dean. A couple of guys have said it on the pod over the last couple of days that he said that. I was just led to believe that was gossip, that he threatened to quit if the board sacked the manager. But if anybody knows where that was published or if it was an actual official statement, I would like to see it just out of interest, because as far as I was aware, it was just gossip, and I don't want to be saying it's not. Dean, you might be right. I just wanted to know where it was. Scotty, though, you're getting to a point in the season where the English clubs are starting to ditch the manager, so the pool becomes smaller and smaller as the days go on, doesn't it?
Yep, 100%, Billy. 100%. It's grim. It really is grim just now. Just a quick thanks to Shona for a shout that Alex Crook Talksport there now running with it, that he has. It was since Kevin Muscat has spoke to Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart that deal is now on the brink of collapse. So that's another kind of source running with. In terms of who we're left with, board will probably go back to Danny Roll, I would imagine.
I've seen a comment there saying that.
Try to convince him to take a job. It really is an utter shambles. New for me, I was saying this in the group chat earlier on, it's a case of if it's not going to be Kevin Muscat now, you just get an interim to end the season. There's no point. We're making excuse my French, but we're making a pig's arse of us now. It's an absolute riot. We're Rangers Football Club and we're being run like East Fife or Clyde. In fact, Clyde and East Fife probably at least have a maintenance man in their club. They can change a light bulb, no, but that's where we're at. You're very
Ryan, sorry, mate.
You've been through all our candidates. I don't think there's Ole Solskjaer. Is that a kind of what you're looking at now? I know Ryan's sitting shaking his head, but that's pretty much who we're left with. The candidates are disappearing thick and fast, mate.
Ryan, I was going to come to you on what do you think? I mean, it could just be that these two are thoroughly dislikable and you go in a room with them and you don't want to work with them whatsoever. But can you think of like practical explanations of why manager talks would break down when it get to so far, that they're just crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and like you said earlier, what other reasons could there be for deals like this to fall apart?
Not being allowed to bring in your own staff members. So he's basically... Yeah, possibly. You're given a certain level of budget to say, right, these are the guys I'd like to bring with me. We can't afford them. We can only afford you. So you'll get X, Y, and Z. This is what you're going to be basically given as a transfer budget to bring in your own staff. That's what the wage bill will look like. And if they don't think they can bring in the right support team, then possibly that would be something. Promises are future transfer funds for January. Negotiations as far as what say do they have in the transfers there. Are you presented with a bunch of tools and said, make a football team out of this? Or do you actually have, the ability to turn around and go to Kevin Thurwell and say, I'd quite like you to go and sign this striker who plays for this club for X amount of money. I like him. He suits what I'm wanting. I want you to bring him to the club. And it's basically, you find with these kind of guys that have got really big egos that you need to make it kind of their idea to sign them. You say you leave a link in their desk or something like that for basically something, one of their kind of highlights videos or something. It's a nightmare. And it's, because it's career lottery coming to Rangers. You're basically juggling your chance, your future succession. I don't think you'll see Russell Martin in a job for a good long time after what's been going on here. Phil Clement is still looking for work in the back of him getting sacked from Rangers. Barry Ferguson hasn't had an opportunity to go into managing, even though his time was short with us. But not even somebody like a championship team or anyone's won before to Barry. We don't know. Possibly they have been. But, the statistics are once you leave Rangers and once you move on, you don't do very well on the back of it. So, and even people would say that Gerrard wasn't that greatly successful on the back of it as well. Van Bronckhorst is now a number 2 at Liverpool, where he really coolly should be a number 1 somewhere. So you're really taking a chance for your career coming to us, and a lot of guys are just, I'm not confident with this. I've got to think about myself, I've got to think about my future. And this is where the whole kind of the timing's not right crap comes into it as well. So we don't know, but that's the kind of things that if I was coming in, I was looking to take the job on, I would be asking for certain things to happen. And if they don't make me happy, I'm not coming. It's as simple as that. I'll wait for the next opportunity to come down.
See if they did go back and try and massage Rolls' ego a wee bit. And, as I say, I'm just suggesting that he pulled out for his own self-respect. But if they go back and try and get him back on board and say it does happen, I think me personally would like to see, the only way the fans could take it is if they get rid of Stewart and Thirlwell at the same time.
Aye, there's no way on earth that the fans are going to be able to get on board with Danny Role if they stay in a job. Not one fan would accept that. There would be even more of a fallout with the fans. It'd be even more toxic. I've seen the videos about the fan going up and yesterday, and emotion can get the better of everybody in life, and that's clearly what happened yesterday. And you've got to take it into perspective. Season ticket holders spending thousands of pounds a year to follow Rangers, and yet they're subjected to that. So you've got that not just one fan, that's across the board. So when you've got a poisoned chalice like that, it's even more difficult for fans to turn around and go, do you know what? Got to give Danny Role a shot, and we trust Kevin Thirlwell and Patrick Stewart to get it right for the January signings, for the signings that we're lacking, that we need in this squad now. Nah, it's not going to happen. All that's going to do is just make Ibrox a horrific place to play football. Danny Rowe, I've said this previously, he comes in, that would just be career suicide for him, irrespective of his young age. I mean, he could come in and it's just not going to end well for him.
Scotty, I had to see you shaking your head at that comment there as well. The only thing I would say about this, if to fall through, you mentioned earlier on an interim manager. Now, we're angry now, but there's still things to play for this season. And above that, the Scottish Cup comes with a Europa League place. Second place in the league doesn't. So that, for me, has to be non-negotiable. So interim coming in, for me, I'm throwing things at the wall. If Neil McCann was going to come in for a couple of weeks anyway, why not just give it to Neil McCann just now?
I don't know.
Disagree with me if you want, mate. Yeah.
I'm actually stuck for words, to be honest with you, Billy. I would probably just begin it to Stevie Smith to the end of the season because, we played really well for the first half yesterday. He spoke well at his press conference. He's been in the club, so he'll know more about the players than an outsider coming in would. And to be honest with you, who else is there? Barry's had his shot. McCann was part of a backroom team that was on the in. I only want to see McCann coming in on the interim basis that Muscat is coming. I don't think Neil McCann as an interim manager would be a good move, to be honest. Not for any particular reason, but that's the thing that see when you're looking at interim options, there's not even like down south they would go to Sam Allardyce back in the day or Warnock or there's nobody like that kicking about that would take us on. You're really scraping the barrel for options now. It's awful, man. It's honestly so bad. It's unbelievable. I can't believe the state my football club's in just now and how it's being run. And it's coming for the tap. It's coming for Patrick Stewart down. Ryan says there's a cancer in the club. I think the cancer is Patrick Stewart, to be honest. I think it needs cut out because his reign, I read out his timeline, his reign's been nothing short of shocking. Absolutely shocking from the beginning. And where is he? Where's him and Thilwell? If all these rumours are flying about, how come nobody's coming out and doing an interview with RTV? Speak to us. Where's the transparency? We've been promised it. Fan advisory board are doing it. They're doing a great job. But that's not Rangers. We need to hear directly from Rangers on us and the people that's running the club. They need to come out and face us and tell us what the hell's going on, because it's just, I don't know, Billy, like, who would you take on as an interim manager? Because see, if we were to do a pod on it, I think we would struggle to find options, genuinely.
Neil Warnock obviously loves us. Why not bring him back up? So I don't know who I've had. People that I just mentioned McCann because he was linked with coming in anyway. So you know what my worry with your suggestion of Stevie Smith taking it is something I brought up in on Friday's pod about the players that are there. Will they have respect for an under-19s manager for the rest of the season? Will they start to undermine him as well? Whereas at least Neil McCann has been a manager, with Dundee. He's been the Rangers last season. So there'd be a bit more respect there for him to implement things, and they'd maybe listen to him. You obviously seen Jack Butland last night pretty angry with a few players in the squad, so he knows something. But Ryan, can I come to you on the cancer thing you mentioned, because you said it wasn't just to do with the recent kind of board and set up. What do you really mean by that, and why can't we get rid of it, in an instant?
It's just the way things are going, Billy, just overall. And it's not just since the Americans came in, it's been the last few years the way things have been. It's basically been since we won the league in 2021. That's how long ago it was. It's been since then. You look at things like, I'll give you a prime example, right? I'm a season ticket holder. I subscribe to the continuous card payment scheme. So basically, Rangers have access to my bank account to take money out of my account whenever they feel like, right? For matches, for European games, for cup games. I'm also a MyGers holder and I hold 1,416 points in my MyGers account, right? And I've subscribed to that for about the last 4 or 5 years when I soon realised that I had to have it if I wanted to be eligible to go to certain games. And I never got a cup semi-final ticket. Basically didn't have enough points, even though I was in the priority there. Now, when I soon realised I didn't have the chance to do that, I logged on to the hospitality part of the website. Didn't have to do any logins or give any credentials, anything like that. I could just log in as a member of the public to the Rangers website, and I went on and I bought a VIP ticket for the game. Right now, Anybody who's never been to a Rangers game in their life, you could be just a tourist, you could be just a football tourist, whatever it is, and you have to throw money at it to get a cup semi-final ticket, right? Even though I've been a loyal Rangers fan, I've been a season ticket for many years. I've been going to Ibrox for nearly 40 years, and I can't get a ticket to the cup semi-final, but I can log on as a member of the public simply because I'm willing to pay more money for it. That's one of the things that's wrong with the club. That's just an example. This time last year, I think we were only just getting our way back to Ibrox from being in Hampden, which basically made a total mess of last season. There's things like the what do you call it? The G51 bar. It was supposed to be this next thing. That's not happening now. You look at the youth development. We're scrapped the B team. With this new initiative with the B team, that just gets patted. It's not working. Just get rid of it. So I struggled to think of something that actually I'd put my hat on to say, this is really good. We do this really, really well. Probably the only thing I'd say that's looking okay at this moment in time is the introduction of the museum. The museum was a good introduction, and it's something that's probably brought a lot more people to the club on a kind of tourist side of it, and it's probably making a wee bit more money that way. But that, truth be told, if you look at player transfers, we sold Eagleman for 10 million quid. Potentially he should have north up to 20 million pounds. We sold him for half price because Russell Martin's come out in an interview saying he doesn't want to play for the club anymore. For me, that was gross misconduct that day. I'd have sacked him on the spot for doing that. He's cost Rangers at least 5 million quid in a transfer fee that day. I just struggle to see when I say there's a cancer in the building. There's something wrong there, and it's spreading through all departments in the building, and nothing is going right. So we need to get to the root cause of what is wrong. We need to get a leader in the building, and actually somebody that actually takes the bull by the horns and says, we need to fix this. And see if Andrew Kavanagh has spent so much millions and millions of pounds on this. It's ridiculous that he's spent this amount of money and he's not came and fixed. He needs to come. He's going to lose his money. It's as simple as that. He's going to lose millions and millions of pounds. He needs to come and lead this. If it needs to happen for a year, so be it.
Dean, I guess what I'm thinking, I agree with Ryan wholeheartedly there. But there was one thing in the comments, I've missed it now, but talking about how the owners also want a head coach. That for me is worrying if they don't see that the type of club we are does not suit this model they think it suits, and they need to go back to having like strong leadership, strong men in these positions and not yes men. But if they think the same as Thelwell and Stewart do about the head coach position, then I think we're going in for many years of trouble.
Aye, and the only way that is going to change is when we have the action taken in regarding Souness's perception and opinion that there isn't enough Rangers men in and around Ibrox and, making or help to make such decisions. The understanding that, wanting us to be run in a certain way is all fair and well if you're another club. And probably other clubs can maybe run, and I mean no disrespect, but they can maybe run successfully and not have, people who understand that said football club. But Rangers is a massive club which requires a certain type of person and certain type of personality, certain type of mindset that we need in and around the club, and we don't have that. And as long as that continues, we're having people make decisions who aren't Rangers men. So they're going to be sold on whatever a salesman is telling them is the way forward for this football club. And I remember when the news broke about Kevin Thelwell, and I went in the podcast about Kevin Thelwell, and I was just like, I was not impressed with him. I didn't want him coming in. That was my own first initial reaction. And as you do, any Rangers fan does, okay, well, you've said so and so, but you're going to back him because you want the football club to succeed and so on and so forth. And I was right, because he's done nothing to make me think that he's the right man to take us forward. And this whole, bringing his son in and making it's like, this is really cowboy stuff. That why are we being run like this? And the owners are obviously, they've done a decent job with Leeds and stuff, and we can see that model would probably be successful at Leeds, but Leeds are a team in England who are supposed to be winning cups and trophies every year, whereas we are. So yeah, as soon that's not going to change until there's Rangers men at Ibrox, as far as I'm concerned.
Scotty, we're really kind of reaping the rewards of not fixing the roof when the sun was shining, like Gerard Wanders. I mean, that has been catastrophic. We had a chance at that point, I believe, if we just invested rightly, to really put a foot down on the rest of Scottish football.
100%, aye, 100%. We were in a position where we were playing Celtic, playing badly and winning all firm games. That's how good we were. Our manager was at home with COVID, watching the game in the telly, and Gary Max like beating Ange Postecoglou's Celtic and making it look easy. Christ, remember him days, lads? Remember? What it would take to get any sort of thing like that back. I think what needs to happen kind of short term is, now, I seen Alan Austin in the comments there saying Muscat's assessing whether he can work under Stuart's model. If this story's true, in Parag Marathi and Andrew Kavanagh have gave Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell a guy and says, this is who we want you to make this work now, and then they've managed to balls it up for there, then surely that's the biggest red flag of their reign so far, is that they've been handed somebody on a platter. That's your candidate. That's what we want. And they've been unable to make it work. They've been unable to do what essentially their boss has asked, and it's just to tie up a deal.
Twice.
Speak to the guy on football terms. Get round a table, thrash out whatever it is they've got to thrash out. And whatever's happened in these discussions, Muscat's went, no, I don't fancy this. Rangers remind me of Watford in the Championship just now, the way Watford are run. And Rangers also remind me right now of Hearts under Vladimir Romanov. That's how badly we're being run. That's how often we're changing managers. It's amateur. It's an amateur level of work for a 5-star club. And the only way this is going to get fixed is you can't just get rid of one or the other. Two of them need to go, if you ask me. Whether you want to keep Dan Purdy and all that, that's a completely different matter. There will be some good things that have happened. There'll be some more bad than good, obviously, but you keep the good, but you get rid of the two that's unable to do. You've gave somebody an instruction, they've been unable to carry it out twice now, like you say, Billy, with Gerrard and Muscat. Two good candidates for this job. But short-term, Rangers need to bring somebody in that can put a structure in on that park that can teach a team how to defend. Because somebody defending again yesterday was just nothing but laughable. Fix the mentality. They can give these players a good boot up the arse. Make the players men. This I'm sorry, but it needs to happen because they just look like wee boys running about in Rangers tarps, and that's including like a 30-year-old Joe Rothwell. And I mean, look at James Tavernier this season. James Tavernier's been our best player. James Tavernier was brilliant again yesterday. Scored his equaliser and all that kind of stuff. James Tavernier, 33, 34, 35, whatever age he is, shouldn't have been needing to be your best player at this stage in his career. He should be winding down and sitting on the bench. I don't think he'll be complaining that he's playing and being my best player every week, but come on, man, fix this. Fix this. Bring somebody in that can put some kind of structure in place that can win in this league. We had a chance to close the gap on them today. They get beat 2-0 Dundee. They're not in a great shape either. And Hearts are running away with this league. Dress it up all we want. We can say they're going to fall away. Hearts are currently five clear. We're playing Celtic next week. They can go 8 points clear at the top of the league. And if they're anywhere near that position in January, Tony Bloom will spend to win that league. 100%. There's not a shadow of a doubt in my mind about that. But short term, Rangers need to get somebody in and tell fans. They put a Twitter stat up to tell us that Stevie Smith was taking the team on Saturday. How amateur's that? A Twitter stat. Put something up in the socials to say that Stevie Smith's taking the team yesterday. That's a load of nonsense, man. Behave like a professional football club. You've got 49,000 season ticket holders or whatever it is. Going to start treating them with a bit of respect. These fans are turning up, paying away, and they're getting treated like absolute mugs. They need to get it fixed, man. I'm going to stop talking now, Billy, because I'm just starting to get carried away with myself.
Well, look, we've got over 1,500 people watching us just now, Scotty. So I want to thank all them. If you don't like and subscribe already, please, guys, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. And if you're not watching on YouTube, do us a favour, head over there and watch it on there, because it actually gives us some money for doing that. Ryan, finance is your kind of industry, and I know this is not maybe the expertise that you currently have, but I was thinking about the minority shareholders. I'm surprised I've not heard anything from them, because they can't be happy with what's going on either.
I mean, what are they going to say? All they do is just sell. There's nothing. When you're a minority shareholder, you don't really have a say. The club is privatised as well, so you can't actually. There's not going to be, there's no opportunity really to actually go out on the stock market and buy shares and stuff like that now. So they changed the structure of the way things are with the club. You'll probably find something like Dave King will probably have something to say at some point. He's likes to obviously put a wee thing out and try and stay relevant and stuff like that. Dougie Park's never been one for the media either. John Bennett did a couple of things when he was still involved, but I couldn't even actually tell you who the majority or the minority shareholders are now. I think the Parks are still involved. I don't think they sold their shares. I think that's probably the largest of the minority. But they'll just be looking at their investment thinking, I don't see I'm going to get a return for my money here. That's the truth of it. They're hoping for growth within the club. They're looking for things like dividends to come out from profits that are going to be made. But profits aren't going to be made because we're having to pay managers off left, right, and centre. To get rid of Thelwell and Stewart, we're probably going to have to pay them out their contract as well. We're going to have to give the new manager a certain amount of transfer budget as well. So there's no money in there. You can't turn around and say that there's, probably with the exception of Raskin, I don't see any kind of sellable assets within the club either. There's probably no one there. And Raskin's going to be running the last 18 months of his deal soon as well. There's every possibility he may be quite happy just to run his contract down and just leave for nothing. So, and he'll get the transfer fee. He'll pocket that himself. So I don't really see with the minority that's there, and they won't be able to buy any more shares as well because the 49ers will be looking for acquisition, looking for sales. So it's a difficult one. Probably the minority stakeholder, the minority shareholders in the club are probably guys like us. We're the minority shareholders. We're the ones that are putting the money in week after week, like Scotty was saying there. We're busting our backside, travelling all over Europe. We're buying shirts, we're buying tickets for this, that, and the next thing. And like Scotty, we're getting the Michael Fish taken out of us. The club is literally just laughing at us, and they are abusing our loyalty. And it's literally, well, don't renew. We'll get somebody else. There's people on a waiting list there. If you don't like it, go elsewhere. So it's really, really disappointing. It's just really disappointing the way things are going. And it's just, I don't feel valued as a Rangers fan. I don't feel as if they're putting me first in any kind of respect. There's no thoughts when it comes to us at all. It's just the whole thing's a calamity from start to finish. There was an opportunity when they get a Martin to actually put a wee bit of credit back in the bank. I probably say about 95% of the Rangers fan base were quite happy to see Steven Gerrard come back in. And I think if they'd went and done that and said, look, and told Thelwell and Stewart, listen, see the model that you want, the way that you want this guy's more important than you. This guy's the manager of the football team. This is the guy that we believe is going to unite the fans behind the club, is going to bring success to the club, who's going to unite the players, who's going to do all these things. See all your thing about what's you're out of joint because your boy's not going to be able to go scouting and your boy's not going to be able to choose the football team. We don't care about that. We care about this guy. This guy is a proven track record of being a winning captain for a team down in England who lifted the European Cup above his head, who's lifted the league trophy for Rangers, who's got credible, substantial, trust with the fans, and we want him. And at the end of the day, we don't care about your politics. And if your nose is out of joint, the end of Edmonton's ride is that way, mate. Bugger off. Excuse my language.
Right. Dino, I mentioned earlier on, but 15, it's nearly 1,600 people watching now, because Rangers fans are hearing this evening that the deal for Muscat could be off. We all probably know the reasons why. But the fact that they're watching us is because they're starved of any information on it. We've heard anything about any of this, the talks going on with any of these managers, and it's nearly 3 weeks later.
Yeah, so that's getting back to the point I made yesterday. The club's been run by absolute charlatans, and there's semi-professional junior sides that are run better than us. So the fact that it's taken that long, and as Scotty said, they put tweeted at Stevie Smith about Stevie Smith taking the game and stuff. That kind of epitomises everything that's went on for the last 3 weeks, and not one of us have an ounce of optimism in our bodies that it's going to do a 180. So, and I'd say yesterday, from Monday, we're needing some transparency for the club to come out and, this is what's happening, this is the process, to keep us all informed, because of hearing nothing. The fact that that's going to happen today, I've got even less optimism that we're going to be able to have some sort of dialogue and correspondence from the powers that be. So, we've got a game on Thursday, haven't we? Is it Europa League Thursday? Europa League Thursday, and we're going to be potentially going into the week with absolutely nothing coming from the club, and Stevie Smith unsure if he's going back to coaching the 19s or staying with the first team. Make it make sense.
And another thing with that, Dino, is we don't know who is taking charge of the team either. They've still not told us even that. Scott, I've seen Sean's message about an update on TalkSport. Have you got anything there? I don't know if you do or not, mate.
Got it here. It's an article wrote by Alex Crook. Kevin Muscat's move to become the new Rangers manager is stalling, TalkSport understands. Rangers had hoped to announce Muscat this weekend after the Australian held positive talks with members of the club's ownership on Thursday. However, the deal is in limbo after Muscat spoke with Sporting Director Kevin Thelwell and Chief Executive Patrick Stewart. Thelwell's level of influence is believed to be one of the reasons that Steven Gerrard killed out a return to Ibrox. Former Sheffield Wednesday boss Danny Rowe has also pulled out of the running. After that, Gerrard stepped up their interest in Muscat. The Glaswegian outfit remain on the hunt for a new manager since sacking Russell Martin October 5th. And then it's just all kind of when would they start, when would Muscat start, and all that kind of stuff. But that's the bones of it.
Right. But so just really what we've heard already, that it's not looking good. I mean, it's not none of these reports are saying that it's off, but I guess stumbling block being what we all kind of thought it was.
Goes on to say that other candidates could be Derek McInnes and Slaven Bilic.
Well, what do you say? Ryan, I had a couple other points to go over while we're doing this. A sickening thing at the moment is we're not taking advantage of a poor Celtic team. Now that's going out the window because Hearts are kind of running away with it, but we do kind of compare ourselves against them. They were poor today. I watched their game, but we were poor yesterday as well. You look at Chermiti, plays more minutes, still hasn't scored the goal for us. We paid $8 million for him. That needs looked into as well for me. Yeah,
the Chermiti transfer just absolutely stinks. The whole thing about it is just brutal, man. I think my comment yesterday that I made to the boy sitting behind me was that he couldn't trap a bag of cement. It was just, he doesn't even look like a football player. That's the genuine thing about it. He actually just doesn't. He is an athlete, certainly, no doubt about that. But a football player, I don't see it. And there was, after the first game, after his debut, as I was going down the stairs and leaving, the guy behind me pulled me as well and said, he's going to get booked for us more times than he's going to score for us. Mark my words. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen. And I actually sort of stood in my lap. I think you're right. Straight away, he'd only played about 15 minutes for us. But that transfer stinks, man. Absolutely stinks to the highest order. He paid 15 million. I think Thelwell paid £15 million to take him to Everton. Mistake number one. The stupid thing about it is they then paid £8 million for Rangers to go and get him. Now, if he was any good at all, why would Everton be willing to sell him for nearly 50% of what they bought him for? The boy's not a player, and he was getting put around championship clubs on loan as well. I think there was the offer that he was getting put around championship clubs. Basically, the offer of loan for the season, no one would take Everton up on their offer for it. So why have we not offered to loan him so that we can get a look at him before we're committing to a massive transfer? Is it the third biggest transfer in our history? Second biggest transfer in our history?
Second, yeah.
Second, massive. Right, so why have we not taken him on loan with a pre-agreed price to buy him if we decide that we want to do it? We make a mess of these things. So look at Oscar Cortez away and playing the second division now in Spain. after Rangers paid £4 million for him in the summer. It's madness, the money that we're throwing about in players that just simply, you just can't trust the process on it. And what you're saying about what's going on over the road, but we see this, they're liable for that. It happened, they fall apart on regular basis, you know, and their fans are chucking balls onto the park today and getting the game stopped and stuff like that. I'd love to be sitting in their position just now, actually, a possibility of competing there. You know, they've actually got half a chance of winning the league. We're nowhere near this. So it's a nightmare, but we should be right up there. We should be sitting at least 20 points. We've won one game, drawn 6 and lost 1. That's mental for Rangers at this point in the season. I've never known that in all my time being a Rangers fan. I've never known Rangers to have such a poor start to a league campaign. And the fact that they've also had such a poor start, they don't really bother me. You know, you only beat what's in front of you every single week. It's nice to have a look at the day. Well, obviously, Dundee went 2-0 up and we're all having a laugh in the group chat, like, nobody say anything, because you know what's going to happen if you do. I think I gave Gary a yellow card because he said, I've just checked the score. Like, right, you don't check the score, don't look at it. But it's a nightmare. It's an absolute, and it's there for the taking. Last year's Rangers team would have won this league. Even the year before that. It's there. The amount that we have digressed and the poor choices that we've made in the football department is unbelievable. And I've seen what Alan Austin said about Shankland for free. Shankland, 100%. You had Josh Mulligan sitting there as well. You could have signed him. It's madness, absolute madness, the stuff that we're doing in the football side of things, the recruitment side of things.
It seems like they came in, seen who was being recommended by the previous kind of regime, and then just ripped all that up and went after their own kind of cronies down south. Dino, I keep hearing on pod after pod, not even through us, other podcasts as well that I listen to, that, you know, we've got a nucleus of a good team there. But after seeing that game yesterday, I think I've decided I don't think we do have a nucleus of a good team anymore. What do you think of the team?
No, to be quite honest with you, I seen enough in the 45 minutes yesterday that we can be a good team going forward, with several tweaks and changes I may add, but I've seen enough to think that there is something there that a manager can come in and work effectively with. However, to caveat that with the fact that we have very little leadership and, you know, grit in the team, and, you know, when you have a team coming to Ibrox and they're out fighting you, out getting the better of you in every single aspect of the game, there is a massive issue that needs to be rectified and eradicated from this club. But that's only going to change when it's, you know, starts at the very top and it needs to be changed. So it's not just one thing that needs changed. It's a whole. There's loads of mitigating factors in that, if you ask me. But I think also when you've got a team that's made up of loanees, a team that's made up of players that have came to better their careers, not players that are actually in good places in their careers to come and, you know, make us a formidable force, therein lies a problem. Like the things that you just mentioned there, Chermiti and Oscar and Mulligan was, I believe, was actually signed, and it was Thirlwell that decided against that signing. I don't know if there's any truth in that, but going the way that things have, you know, came to fruition right now, I genuinely believe that that's the case. So, yeah, there's severe work needing done, but I do believe that we have got players in the squad that can get the better of the jobbers in the league, because it's going to take a lot for us to be able to get players in now, especially in January, that can come in and show that bite. And I mean, really, if you listen to what Morris was said, all it needed yesterday was they come out and get a couple of bookings quickly in the beginning of the second half, and we just went back into our shells, and it was like watching boys against men. So it's just be simple things like that. And as Morris was said, they done the dark arts to a T, and we don't know how to work the dark arts, and it's just wee things like that. It's the difference of winning and losing a game. And Ibrox needs to be a fortress, and it's like complete opposite of that at the moment.
Scotty, the manager obviously had to go. There's no denying that. Players aren't free from blame, I guess, as well. They looked toothless even under Martin, and again in the second half yesterday, just not up for a battle whatsoever. But I didn't realise, the team and the manager really is what I thought affects the football field more than anything. But it's clearly now we're seeing that I don't know what Thelwell's that technical position is again, sorry I forget, but Patrick Stewart as well. These guys are doing serious amount of damage to the club. If this deal falls through, that is 100% the proof for me. They've turned us into one of the jobbers in the league that Dean's talking about. Aye. We're not challenging, we're a jobber.
Yep, 100%. 100%. I can't disagree with absolutely anything you've said there, Billy. Everything is pretty much spot on, to be honest with you. Yeah, right, we are a jobber. It's getting a laughing stage now. I was saying to the boys in the chat earlier on, I'll be happy with top 6 this season. They're like, oh, come on. I'm like, no, this is where we are. This is like, they're on, but 5 games, lost 1, and I don't even know what we've done in the league anymore. I know we've only won 1 match in 8. And that's not it. That's not it at all. They need to bring somebody in that's got a bit of experience in this league short term if the Muscat deal falls through, while you're looking for a new sporting director and a new chief executive.
Ryan, I wanted Gerrard. Do you think there's any world or any possibility we go back and get rid of these two and say, you come in and take over?
I don't know. I think it'd be really, really difficult. It'd be really quite unusual for something like that to happen at this stage. There's a lot of moving parts with it and stuff, and you don't know. I think they need to put everything they can into this Muscat deal, and I think they need to do everything they possibly can try and get it over the line. Muscat was probably my backup to Gerrard. I did say when the Gerrard deal kind of fell through, I was very much kind of McInnes or Muscat, because I need somebody that, I'm not looking for gambles on foreigners. I'm not looking for gambles on project manager. And I'm not being kind of in a racist kind of way when I'm saying foreigners. What I mean is somebody who understands the club and is ingrained and has a working understanding of Scottish football is what I mean by foreigners as such. Muscat and McInnes tick both of those boxes. Muscat obviously playing here, played in England most of his time. The football isn't that dissimilar up here to what it is in England. And McInnes obviously had success when he was with us. He played under Walter Smith and he played under Dick Advocaat. So he knows what it takes to create a winning Rangers team on the park, and he knows the expectations of it. And that's there. But Muscat, the fact that Muscat is a league-winning manager, he's won the league in Australia, he's won the league in Japan, he's just on the brink of winning it again. I think in China, he's won it once before. So these are the kind of guys, these are the kind of CVs that you want here. You're not wanting, think guys like Danny Rowe. What's Danny Rowe ever done in football apart from being a half-decent number 2? As such, he's been a right good member of staff for somebody. He's not actually been a leader and actually been the reason why the wins have happened for these teams. When he was the number 2 at Munich, when he was the number 2 at Germany, stuff like that, he's not the reason why. He's just part of the team as such. So I'm looking for somebody that can come in and do this, and that's where Muscat ticks a lot of boxes for me. And it's also part of the kind of club's credibility that we need to be seen to be good people to do business with. And if it's constantly falling apart, now you were somebody like Kel Knutson at Bodo Glimt, and the phone rings on Friday morning or Thursday morning. We're in Norway, fancy coming and having a chat with us. We're in Bran, fancy coming and having a wee chat with us about the Rangers game. What? Why? Why would I do that? Why would I possibly do that? You got to think about, we're having to attract guys, managers. We're also going to have to then attract players, and players will just be looking at us going, "No, don't fancy that. No way. Why would I go there?" And if you were a half decent agent, you'd be advising your client not to do it. So I'm lost for words, Bill, to be honest with you. We need to do everything we possibly can to get this Muscat deal over the line. We can't be going back to Gerrard now. It's the whole credibility thing and saving face. If I had a magic wand, but I don't think it will happen.
Dean, there's some comments there. I think Shona was the first one to say it about succession planning. Now, we could have told you probably on day one of Russell Martin being signed, you're going to have to get another manager in place pretty soon. So keep the CVs updated, keep contact with folk about succession planning. It's very clear as we enter into the third week of a managerial search that there's been no succession planning, has there?
No. And when you have, a person leading the succession planning who backed Philippe Clement after the debacle that was Queen's Park, it doesn't give you any sort of hope that there's going to be any contingency plan in place. And then you have Kevin Thirlwell come out and say that Russell Martin is, I can't remember verbatimly, but he came out and said that Russell Martin is either the best young coach he's ever worked with or one of the best he's ever worked with. Mm-hmm. So when you've got somebody coming out and, convincingly tell you that that's what he believes, then there's zero contingency plan going on in the background. So it's not a surprise to me that we are actually in this state, but it's hurtful that we are. That's what it is. It's just hurt right now. I think we all do that we are in this state, and we all knew it was never going to work. Not one of us wanted them in. Every single person out with Rangers now. I know everybody loves to have a dig at Rangers when things are on the wrong turn, but I even know Celtic fans that are like, they couldn't believe what was happening at Rangers when Russell Martin came in. Do you know what I mean? So, and that kind of, says a lot to me when they're not even in a position of like, it's that bad, I'm not even going to slag you. Do you know? So, and that was when he got appointed. So, yeah, the fact that we've got people running our club who, as I said, come out and backed Philippe Clement after probably one of the worst domestic results in our club's history, and then Thirlwell tell the fans, gaslighting the fans, that Russell Martin is the best young coach he's ever worked with, or something like that. I mean, that says all that needs to be said as far as I'm concerned.
Scotty, I've been going over an hour now. Thank you everyone that's watching, and please, like and subscribe to us. If you haven't already, do that on YouTube, please. Thank you very much. It helps us out an awful lot. If I can try and finish the pod on a positive note, mate, what advice would you give the owners to be able to turn this round?
Sack Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thirlwell. Darren, thank you for your donation, mate. Thanks to all the new members that's joined as well. He's right. We have appointed people that don't understand the club and what it means. In terms of any kind of positivity I can give you, Billy, I sack Thirlwell and Stewart and get an interim in so we can sort of mess out till we decide what's happening with Muscat. I suppose. Thanks for hosting, mate.
No, any final thoughts you wanted to say before we go around everybody else?
No, obviously we've got a new podcast sponsor, Bluebells Bar in Lanzarote in Puerto del Carmen. I was out there and I met up with Kenny. He's a great guy, and he's kindly agreed to sponsor a pod. So if anybody's in Puerto del Carmen, nip in and see him and have a pint. He does tenants, which is pretty handy. And it's a really, really good setup and stuff he's got. It shows every Rangers match going. All the fit by and the international games and stuff on that well was there as well. So very welcoming. Just thanks to him for having me and agreeing to sponsor a pod.
And I believe he shows the pod as well. Is that right?
At times, when there's no a game on. When there's no a game on, he tries to get the pod on, Billy. So aye.
Well, no worries, Scotty. Thank you for calling this, emergency pod. It has been kind of good to talk about it. Ryan, I will come to you. Do you have any positivity for the folk listening and for the fans as a wider general fan base?
No, I don't. There's nothing really been positive about at this moment in time. It was business as usual yesterday, as I was describing it. Looking okay, and finding ourselves scrambling to get a draw and throwing everybody on to try and claw back a win. So it's claw back salvage a point as it was there. If you're asking what do we do, how do we fix it, we've got to identify what the problems are. If the problems are Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thirlwell, we need to do everything we possibly can to fix the problems. And if that's them not being there anymore and releasing them of their duties, that's what we need to do.
And Dino, just before I come to you for your final thoughts, there was a comment a wee bit further up I meant to address about whether Stevie Smith can take charge during the week. I believe there is, for people watching, European dispensation for coaches not having whatever qualifications they need to have, so he would be able to take the team for the short term anyway. But I just wanted to say that before I forgot. But Dino, final thoughts on this whole situation?
I think if we've got to finish up on a positive, the only positive I can think of is that if the issues are Thirlwell and Stewart and Muscat not deciding to come, then hopefully that is the final bit of evidence that Kavanagh and Marath both need to relieve them of their duty. So that's the only positive I can think of that we can get out of this current situation.
Guys, if you're watching and you're kind of depressed, feeling like the four of us, just remember that we are Rangers, and this too shall pass, as the saying goes. We will get through this and we will get back to a position as top of the Scottish Premiership. I have no doubt about that, and it might just take a bit longer than we all hope for. But yeah, everyone, thank you very much for watching. If you haven't liked and subscribed already, please do. Thank you very much for the new members that joined this evening. Thank you very much for that, Scotty. And thanks everyone for watching. Remember, every night is a Rangers Journal night, and we'll see you again during the week. Cheers.
Every night is the Rangers Journal night.